Cookies, first-party data, it's relatively high level. First, I have earned a bit of a right to talk to you today. Been doing this for decades now, since digital was just this small thing. I started my career right here at Universal. Was the third person on the internet marketing team. It was a $100 million channel when I left to start the agency in 2007. So a lot of accolades, but the important part is what I'll call out here, insights to impact. Our agency only does two things, media and analytics, and it's most important the impact on the business. So a lot of our partners are in travel and tourism, and ultimately we want to measure impact on your business. And I know a lot of your funding sources rely on measuring impact. We heard about some great ways to do that. Cree from Arrivalist, Derek, Carol from TripAdvisor also, all trying to help you show impact on your destination. I love David's presentation. I got to talk to him, meet him not too long ago, but just to hear about overall impact in the destination, how important it is. When it comes to online, things are changing, right? The cookie is crumbling, if you will. It's going to be harder to measure folks. It'll be ever so more important as a destination to understand what you are able to measure and how you're taking advantage of it. It will let you understand your impact, show your impact to those that fund you, to the people in your destinations, to all your constituents. So never been more important to measure. Why is it coming up? There's a lot of blowback. We all got too good at measuring down to the individual user level. People felt exploited on Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, Google has a ton. And so now the European Union, the state of California, everyone is going to more privacy. Big tech is both guilty, but also trying to lead the way to better measurement. And the rules will indicate what we can do as destinations to better serve our visitors without them feeling exploited. Real brief, most of you should know this. First-party data we're talking about is directly measurable information about individuals that visit you, whether, those attributes. Third-party data we hear about, though, that is data that someone else has and that they share with us. Google has a ton, maybe the most, first-party data, and then we can pay as advertisers, as destinations or hotels or marketers, to access or to put ads in front of those consumers. What is second-party data is where someone else helps us get information. Third-party data, those walled gardens, there's a reason these companies have, billion and trillion dollar valuations. It is very valuable to know who is doing what. So as those walled gardens get higher, we have to, as destinations or as marketers, build our own first-party data. It enables us, I'll talk about that in a second, there are a lot of benefits. We are still going to partner with third parties who have great first-party information. There's no way around that. But it also behooves us not to fully commit our marketing and efforts to what others know about the people we impact, our guests or customers, but that first-party data is ever more important also. And so you can gather that directly from consumers or through these second and third-party information providers. Why are we doing this? Really two dimensions to think about. We kind of, quality. Your first-party data is the highest quality information you will have. You will know what they bought, when they bought, how they bought, where they came from, what other destinations they considered. So it's excellent. And you have your own first-party data already in your Google Analytics or Web Analytics, in your Salesforce or data or CRM. So that's one, but you're limited on the volume by how much you invest in this area and how deep you go in these relationships. On the other is reach. You can reach a lot of people through these platforms and many others. The problem is that's their first-party information and it's your third-party information. So a lot of players in the middle also, but I've been through a couple case studies, but I won't go into those. But again, you're trying to balance at all times volume and quality. You get much more quality in your first-party data. You get much more reach in your third-party data. What are the benefits? I alluded to this earlier. You get to do much better accuracy and targeting. You get a holistic customer view Today's customer is different than yesterday's. We've all realized that, and we are not going back to normal. Today is normal. We don't like the volumes we're seeing. We don't like the challenges we face, but I encourage you to take that mindset. Today is the new normal. Survive is your goal, and then prosper as things today and when things improve. But it lets us create holistic customer views and know more about individual people that impact our destination and constituents. Close the loop on attribution, understanding end-to-end. The challenge as a DMO or a hotel, we saw that. They spend money in a restaurant. They spend money in the hotel. They spend money getting here. You'll never have all the data, but having a better visibility to more data just makes you a more informed marketing or destination steward. Making more relevant content. The days of trying to boil the ocean and just blasting messages out are far gone, and that's going to continue. More relevant message to a more relevant person at the most relevant time. And also enrich data. We just heard a great presentation on using data, machine learning, just how to enact data to make better decisions or to understand when customers are lapsing or when we're losing market share or gaining market share. All that modeling takes data, and the best data is first-party data. Ton of examples here. When you think about it, there's purchase history, people interacting with your website or app activity, people call on the phone, customer service interaction, survey responses, phone, email, CRM program, or SMS. All of these are first-party data that you have access to, need to gather and model to make better decisions now and into the future. And if there was ever a time, a crisis is a great opportunity to look at what do I know and where do I get it. My goal today was to have some examples, which I'll close with, specific things that you need to go back and think about your answers that you already have today or what you don't have answers. These are just a few examples the team threw in for examples of where you can get more direct first-party data, getting people to opt in, making them offers for the destination, through your social media, through promotional campaigns. But again, this is, we saw earlier today in a presentation, co-op. This is a great way for all the partners to benefit and share first-party information. But for consumers, we get stingier and stingier with our data. You have to be adding value for me. You can't creep me out, but you have to serve me better. Why would I give you my email? You have to make it valuable. So those are the things you'll have to think about in that context. CDP, Consumer Data Platform. You'll hear a lot of different acronyms as data keeps growing. This one's critically important. On the most simple side, there's your CRM system, and you primarily do email with it. That is a form of CDP. On the much more advanced level, you have all these sources for collection going into a single customer view, and then you have to be able to act on it. I have to be able to put it back into a platform with a partner that helped me get the data in the first place, with other partners. It has to be actionable, people with media reach. So very simplistic view, but then you're never going to have, we hear this term, many people, proprietary, sorry if any are in the room, 360 view of the customer. We will never have all that information. We have more data than we've ever had. Getting usable information out of the data is the real challenging part. So we can measure more touch points, but more important is how are you leveraging that to improve the service and relevance for those consumers considering us and our constituents, and then delivering better value. I mean, that's ultimately, we're entrusted with these resources to drive interest and incremental customers, and that's what we should do with this data. So within your own CDP, again, you can start very simple with just a database in your CRM system, but it will build over time, and what you end up is data collection from multiple sources. How does it all go in and aggregate into a single source of truth? Identity resolution, we heard David from Epsilon talk about, they target individual people, individual users, even households at a more aggregate level. That is critically important for first-party data, understanding who they are and what they're doing. Now, when we activate it, it's often in aggregate, but you still want to understand that individual level. And your CDP enables you to do that. Treat it as a single source of truth. Segmentation, you can do rules, machine learning, lifetime value modeling. That all comes out of, okay, I've got all this data. How do I break it up or think of it differently so that I can boil it back and say, I as a marketer now can make a marketing decision that I believe is going to be better for the business, and then measure that outcome. And then, of course, I mentioned activation. All of this data is great, but now what do I do with it? How do I do a better campaign with better messaging, better timing, better targeting? So your CDP as a product, as a place you keep all your data, you get all this data and integrate it, lets you kind of make sense of it and then put it into activation. So really you have to be thinking in these terms. First party data is going to be critically important. Your CDP is where you're going to keep it. So these were the action items. I'm so glad I got to bring my laptop up. Otherwise, the meme doesn't work. It's just static. So I love the integration of memes. I've challenged myself for my team to try to come up here and do one with nothing but memes. I don't know how that seems almost vanity, though. That forces you to just focus on my words, because once you see it's funny, Larry David, me. But glad the meme worked. Ultimately, think of these questions when you go back. I wanted to give you something actionable coming out of today. When you go back, think about what is your strategy to collect consumer data. Too often, and I've been in this a long time, but destinations were like, we do this marketing, and then I do an in-market economic impact study. They're not really connected, but they're correlated, which is important. That is a form of measurement, but you can go much further today looking at specific impressed customers or influenced customers, and now they take these actions. That is your true economic impact. How do our media partners, you need to be asking this, plan on profiling audiences with the demise of third-party cookies? Many, everyone's trying to figure it out, but many of these data partners built their whole ecosystem based on cookies. That's just not going to work anymore. So they're all trying to pivot. You need to understand how they are dealing with logged-in user data, how they are getting around cookies, which are going to go away and not be relevant anymore. It's about their own first-party data and how they can leverage it and help you. Can we create a sustainable and constantly improving consumer database? That's your CDP, or what is your data and how will it evolve over time? It is going to keep growing. There's going to be more data. The challenge is getting the right data in there and then being able to make informed decisions from it. So you need a strategy over how will it work today and how will you continue to improve it over time. You need that flexibility in your system. Last one, how can we deliver a consistent consumer experience across the entire organization? We heard from Sparkloft earlier, we're reaching folks through social. We have our PR efforts, our app, our website, our in-destination experience, right? Those Google reviews we were talking about in the last presentation are a reflection of how we're delivering at that last mile, where people actually put a head on a pillow or have a meal. So how are we able to gather this information and provide consistency? Because ultimately, we all spend lots of resources, time, effort, and expertise. We as agency partners, we as destination marketers, we as hoteliers, we as travel accommodation providers, or the guy doing umbrellas on the beach, right? That is all part of that comprehensive travel experience that we all love so much and want to get back to more quickly. But how can we use this information to be sure we are consistently saying the right things that accurately reflect what we're delivering in the experience? That is locked in the data as well, and as a destination marketer, that's key to understanding that and moving it forward, evolving it over time. So those are key questions to go back and ask of yourself and your organization. I know I shared a lot of information today. Like I said, we'll make it available. It'll be available through eTourism. And then also, if you have questions or would like to follow up, Ricky, my colleague, and I are both here. We have a relatively straightforward tool where we can plug your website in and look for how you are treating first-party data today on your website. We'll make that available. Again, it just opens a conversation and gets you thinking about those questions, which I've already shared. Like I said, I kept it brief today, wanted to keep it high level right before lunch. I don't know if I'm the last one before lunch, but you never want to be the one right before cocktails. I know that. But now I'll take any questions, or if not, I just thank you for your time and appreciate your attendance here, not just for my presentations, but at this event today. It is my first since January, also for work or even leisure travel. Technically, I can't take credit for leisure travel. I live in Orlando. But I appreciate you all being here, and thank you for the opportunity.